And welcome to this April 1st version of What's Down with This Weather. I'm meteorologist Aaron Brackett. That's all I got for April Fools.
That's all you got?
That's
pretty good. Pretty good.
Is that good?
I think what's up with this weather, and I think there's a lot to discuss with this weather.
There's a lot going on. A lot going on. Good afternoon to you if you're watching this live. It's 1:30 right now. If you're watching it later, it is the first day of April after back-to-back record warm months in Oklahoma, specifically in Oklahoma City with all those observations. February was number one place for hottest overall. That combines lows and highs. And March now officially in the books. The books are closed on March. That was the hottest ever as well. So that's not an April Fool's joke. I promise you.
I wish it was. I wish that was.
Me too. And there's a risk of severe weather today. I wish that was an April Fool's joke. It is not. I was reading the forecast discussion from the Weather Service this morning, and they put up the forecast every day, twice a day. They actually write a discussion on the whys of the weather, and they had a little funny thing. I'm going to try to pull it up right here. But I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, we have the clouds outside right now. It's
cloudy,
kind of muggy, but I mean, transitioning from two of the warmest months, it's incredible.
So I have to say, I'm a bit nervous since we've had two toasty months, in my opinion. What could this summer possibly be like? We're still in a drought, if I'm right. Are we still in that drought?
Yeah, we're still in a bad drought, which we'll talk about that too. What might change it is what's on the way today. Obviously, today's storms, even if you get a really heavy storm raining really hard for a while, that's not going to end the drought. But it's a step in the right direction, and it's a step of trying to at least give us several days off of the intense fire danger. Right as I pull this up, of course, I can't see it. Anyway, they were just saying, not April Fools. We're coming off of this double record, back-to-back monthly record, and no April Fools. We're just diving right into severe weather, the very first day of April. So they wrote it a lot more eloquently,
honestly,
of course.
Aaron, I wouldn't expect anything less for Oklahoma weather.
Yeah,
on April Fools than that.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a good April Fool's joke is if we all were wrong, including myself.
I know.
I'll take it. I'll put myself out there. Yes. I've been posting stuff all day about how it could be bad. I'll take it if we're wrong. Great. April Fools. That'd be great.
It would be a really good time to be wrong, yes.
But yeah, it's looking fairly serious this afternoon from about 5 o'clock to 11 or midnight, depending on where you live. We're going to go through all of that a little bit later in the show, but we're doing a lot here. We're going to talk about the fires that we've had recently again. We're going to look at some drone technology that will really help on days like this. It will really help. It's happening now. It's being developed. It is big news. So we're talking about that. And then, of course, the latest data on what's going to happen with today's weather on this April 1st, April Fool's Day. There is no fooling in this forecast. I will not do that. We're not playing that game today. All right, let's dive into what's going on outside here. We'll kind of show you the currents right now. And there's been a lot of cloud cover. This is because there's a warm front or stationary front. It's not moving too much, but it is moving northward through the state. So it's bringing increased dew points and humidity with it. It's also bringing clouds with it, which you can see from our 50-pen camera right there. Morning low temperature was 56. Not bad. Pretty mild, right? 44 in Woodward and 50 in Alva. These places off to the north were to the north of this front. So it's actually fallen a little bit there. If you're north of a warm front or stationary front, it's like you're on the cool side of a front, which is what you are. So Alva's substantially cooler than the same time yesterday. Woodward down 21 degrees as well. So currently in Oklahoma City, it's 74. That's despite the cloud cover. We've warmed up because those southerly winds are coming in here. Also important to note, that dew point number, 60. So to get impactful severe weather, you at least need lower 60s dew points. Now you can get severe storms with high wind gusts and all that with less, but this would help with the hail potential, unfortunately. This will help with the tornado potential, unfortunately. That south wind is at 9 miles per hour right now. So live temperatures across the area, you can see, again, even with the cloud cover, we've got some mid to upper 70s. There's a 79 in Chickasha there, and we've got a lot of 79s in southern parts of the state, and there's even an 81 right there. So you can see all this energy is building, and the front is basically right about here. So it's right about there. And what we're concerned about with that front is as storms form along it or move along it, a pseudo warm front gives you extra low level helicity, which basically is a fancy word for spin. So that would be a little localized area that we'd be more concerned of for tornadic activity. So there's the front. It is going to move slowly off to the north. So we'll watch that carefully. And you can see the winds. I mean, you can basically see where the front is just based on the wind gust map right here. So there's my little pointer. So there is the front right there. And it's not going to move too much going forward. Here's the severe weather risk right now. So it is an enhanced risk. It was up from a slight to an enhanced yesterday. It remains largely unchanged. High winds, hail. I'd say of the biggest risks today, it's going to be hail and hail first out here in western Oklahoma. So as the storms form along the dry line here, and if they can form along that front as it kind of zigzags right about here, that'll be a hail risk and tornado risk right around here. So Enid, Fairview, toward Kingfisher, Watonga, even toward Guthrie in the northwest Oklahoma City metro, that's going to be an area of enhanced spin that we're going to have to watch really carefully the rest of this afternoon. Okay, a whole lot coming up. We're talking about the fires. We're talking about amazing drone technology that'll help forecasters on days like this and winter weather days. And we'll take a more in-depth look at today's severe weather risk coming up after this short break on What's Up With This Weather. And welcome back to What's Up With This Weather, April Fool's edition. We're not joking, though, about this stuff. I already made my one little silly, stupid joke at the beginning, and that is all you get for today.
But it's still April Fool's.
Sorry, but it is April Fool's.
It still is.
Yes, you can prank your friends and family later. I'm not going to do it today.
Not with this weather.
No, it's kind of a serious day coming up this afternoon. If you're watching this later, this was April 1st. If you're watching it live or today, we have the risk of severe weather coming up. So we're going to talk all about that coming up. But I want to kind of rewind here to the fires from last Thursday. Again, it was another fire day. We've been incredibly warm all winter. We had tornadoes in January 8th. We had a lot of them in March. And we had a record warm January and March, now that we're officially in April. So here's some of the fires from last Thursday. This is from Philip McGee, one of our trackers who was out there along with many others. And this was kind of more of a mop-up phase at this point, but he was following the south winds right here. The brush pumpers doing an awesome job. The firefighters doing an awesome job out there. And we had a lot of fronts coming through. So what that does is, say you get a fire almost all the way out, front comes through, and maybe it's not a complete 180. Maybe it's a 160-degree wind change or 150.
Mm-hmm.
180, it would turn the fire back on areas that already burned. Not that big of a problem. But if there's a little extra component, it can kind of burn to the side and just start a new one. So that's what they were doing out there after, again, one of these many fires out in Blaine County. So they did excellent work.
And a lot of volunteer firefighters are doing this hard work.
They make up the majority of all rural fire departments, not only here in Oklahoma, a lot of the country, but here. You can see Loyal Fire Department right there, Volunteer Fire Department. So, I mean, they take time away from their families. They get called at all times of the day or night. Yes. They just do amazing work. So we appreciate those folks out there. Something else that's pretty interesting, we're talking about, how incredibly warm it's been lately. This was last Thursday as well. So it was a hot day, southerly winds right there. It was dry. This was incredible. And I actually have to update this a little bit because, this is the drought map first. We'll talk about the drought map here. So it says issued March 26th and drought as of March 24th. So what happens is all the data that they look at for the whole country, the data stopped, I believe it's 7 a.m. on Tuesday of every week. Then they analyze it all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and the final product is put out on Thursday morning. So tomorrow we'll get a new one of these. Now, let's say it rains a ton where you live. That will not count because this week's incoming data already stopped on Tuesday. Okay, so basically Tuesday to Thursday, if anything happens there, it will not affect the new drought outlook. But this is what we have right now. So yes, there was a little bit of rain last night with some thunderstorms. If I were to put a new one out tomorrow, it probably wouldn't change much. Now we're going to get more rain today along with the severe weather. So every little bit helps. It's not going to be a drought buster, but it will prevent wildfire spread for several days before we dry out again. There's more rain on Friday. Then it looks like a prolonged dry pattern. We'll watch that carefully. So that is the drought. And
fires like we just saw last week are a cause because of, I would say, this drought we are experiencing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, yes, a lot of the trees are blooming and there's some grass sprouting, but when you get a very dry day with high winds, it doesn't matter with the drought like this. It's not nearly as green as it would be if we didn't have this massive drought. I believe we have. Let's go to image 2. This was also last Thursday. This was incredibly warm, obviously, for the end of March. It was the hottest temperature in the country, and I want to add something to this. This was the early afternoon. It actually got to 106. I didn't screen grab it
No
in time.
way.
It got to 106. Even at 103, it was the hottest temperature in the entire country. The heat dome was centered right over the panhandle, and it got even hotter than that. Absolutely incredible
No,
stuff.
thank you. That's July temperatures. I expect
Ugh.
late July, August.
Horrible.
Yes.
Absolutely horrible. Moving on here to our next thing. A lot of people that have lived here for a while or follow us or watch News 4 know that we produce an annual weather special. And all the meteorologists have a different topic that they will do. So we spend, weeks researching it, writing it, going out and shooting it. And they're all put together into this half-hour special. And want to let you know that this year it's going to air May 1st at 6:30 on News 4. It will also re-air on KAUT, and then later on you'll be able to watch it online. So that's something to look forward to. And I wanted to bring this from last year. I'm actually doing, I won't fully give it away, but I'm doing something similar, a little bit different, but similar to what we did last year. And you're going to see last year. So that's kind of the little preview right here. How about we play it and watch together, then we'll kind of discuss afterward.
Large fleet of Foresight drones to give you a bird's eye view of severe weather and breaking news. The National Weather Center in Norman, highly specialized drones are being used to give us a picture of the upper atmosphere like we've never seen before. Watch out.
The National Severe Storms Lab has a long history of collecting a lot of observations near storms. And what we do is we take our equipment out there and we get that information. We do that in a lot of ways, but most of them are pretty close to the ground or a little bit above the ground, and we don't get a lot of information in that middle part.
Pulling up and take off.
These drones are used to fill the gap where traditional ground observations and weather balloons cannot provide data.
But that balloon flies through and then it's gone. That's it. We started about 5 years ago now, working with our partners at the university to start using a drone that they had developed there to sense the weather in that layer.
The data gathered by drone is providing another missing piece in the ongoing puzzle of the exact atmospheric ingredients that lead to tornadoes. For years, research teams have largely been ground-based, with some air support from radar planes like 1995's Project Vortex. Coordinating flight plans, the cost of aircraft operations, and the limitations of when and where a plane can safely fly can limit the scope of a real-time storm observation.
We really want to understand what's going on near and right before severe storms. So we call that the pre-storm and near-storm environment. And so when we take these drones out there, we fly in the few hours before and up until the storms arrive safely, and we can collect that data to really understand the evolution of the environment that fuels these storms. And we do that every hour for 8 hours, unless the storm is getting pretty close. Then we start flying faster. We can fly as fast as every 15 minutes to get a lot of that weather data. So then storm arrives, we want to stay safe, so we get out of there. We can't fly in the storm. That's dangerous.
And the research is not only targeting the storm, drones are also being flown for damage surveys, adding a bird's eye view of a storm's impact for researchers.
The storm then comes and actually produces, maybe a tornado, produces damage. Then we can bring out our damage survey platforms. So we have an entire other suite of platforms that do imaging. And we can head out and actually understand what sort of impact the storm made on the surface by using these imaging platforms.
Drones have been used to observe winter weather as well, leading to some interesting findings.
So surprisingly, one of the most impactful cases that we've collected is not in a severe weather case traditionally. It's actually in a winter weather case. You know, those days that are really hard to forecast exactly where it will be freezing rain or freezing drizzle. Collecting the data ahead of time on those cases can really provide a lot of information to weather models and to forecasters in order to be able to provide further lead time on those forecasts to know exactly where that line is. And those freezing events are highly impactful. It rotates into the wind when it flies. And so
While
if
the
you
drones
see
may appear to be a
one, you'll
novelty,
notice that
in-depth scientific benefits are the ongoing goal, hoping to one day unlock the specifics of tornado formation and leading to improved public safety and longer warning times.
and ultimately help people be safe. And that's what we're wanting to do. And these drones are just one tool we use to do that. Our rotor wash. Yeah.
Dr. Smith and the drone research teams at the National Severe Storms Laboratory are continually refining design and operational limits of the drones used in storm data collection. For the Forewarned Storm Team, I'm meteorologist Aaron Brackett.
All right, that was pretty cool. And maybe one of your first questions is, why did the drone look like that? Did you notice it looked kind of silly?
Yeah, it did look kind of silly.
It has like a nose on it. I think
What is that
they had
for?
a funny name. Maybe like a it was like an elephant trunk. I don't know what they called it. They had a good name for it. What that is that little circle on the end of it. It's because the rotor wash from the propellers, the 4 propellers, that can contaminate the air, contaminate the sample. So that is stuck out ahead of that and above it
To be away from the downdraft.
to be away from that and the mixing and
Yeah.
it could be just enough to kind of alter the data. So they had to put a little sniffer kind of out in front of it.
An elephant trunk.
Yeah, a little sniffer elephant trunk.
That's great.
Yeah, again, watch for this year's weather special airing May 1st at 6:30 on KFOR and again on KAUT, and then we'll put it on the internet on our website a little bit later on. So, having to say, those drones are really important because they can sample our atmosphere, not just where we are here at the ground level, but up in many different layers like a weather balloon does. Those are only launched twice a day. This can go up, as she said, every hour to every 15 minutes. And what I'm going to be talking about this year is a more widespread rollout of something like that that's actually automated and that goes even higher. It's really, really good stuff for weather forecasting and weather models. So I'm really excited for it to air. We're just kind of putting the finishing touches on it right now. But again, May 1st at 6:30 on KFOR. So we're gonna take a little break right here. A lot coming up in our next break. Really important weather stuff. We have severe weather potential for today. It starts not too far from now, so we're talking mid to late afternoon into the evening hours. Then again on Friday. Finally take a break after that. But I'm going to give you all the latest what you need to know and how to keep you and your family safe for today coming up after this break on What's Up With This Weather. And welcome back to What's Up With This Weather, April 1st edition. No fooling though, we have severe weather chances that are ramping up the next couple hours. So if you're watching this later, this was April 1st. If you're watching it April 1st, get ready and get ready. We were just talking about, having a severe weather plan and you've got a great one because of where you live.
I am one of the lucky Oklahomans that my severe weather plan is to get my family, get the pets, and go into the basement.
That's great.
And I'm really lucky that we have that plan, but we definitely have our weather radio down there. We have a TV down there, so we can be tuned in, phone chargers, the whole bit.
Excellent. Maybe some snacks for
Some snacks.
Yeah, there we go.
Snacks for the people and the pets.
Yep. So that's absolutely important. You have that plan ready to go. Anyone watching, maybe the kids are in school right now. When they're out, have this talk today if you haven't had it already. Where do we go? How do we communicate? Remember what a watch is versus a warning. A watch means to watch out because ingredients are there where there could be severe weather the next few hours. Warning means act now. You have to do your plan now. You can't throw your plan together when there's a warning. You really shouldn't throw it together when there's a watch.
Yes.
So that means into your room, away from windows. Like Jacqueline, the weather radio is great. A regular radio is great. We simulcast on the iHeart radio stations, and we stream online on your phone, too. You can watch coverage
And get the app.
in the
download
KFOR app.
Yep.
So have that plan ready to go today. What's going on here? What are the ingredients happening? Let's go over to Max 3 and take a look at what we have. It's
While you're switching computers, I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you kind of mentioned it, parents to warn the children.
Mhm.
Do you think people will have to worry about storms coming in for the carpool commute and the after work commute?
Okay, so great question. School is going to be fine.
Okay.
Don't need to pick them up early today. It's not one of those.
Good news.
But I could see after school activities being threatened, especially in western Oklahoma.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe even parts of north central Oklahoma. So go ahead and pick them up. we're going to be all right. A lot of us, folks that get out of work at 5 will be okay in central Oklahoma, but storms will form out in western Oklahoma about 5 to 6, possibly 1 or 2 in north central Oklahoma about 5 to 6, and then they'll all move eastward. So metro timeline looks to be at the very earliest, pretty unlikely, but at the very earliest 6 to 7, more likely 8 to about 11 p.m. Possibly
Bedtime.
midnight in the
Bedtime.
East Metro. Yeah, but at least it's not like 2 a.m.
Yes.
starting. So that's a good thing. Great question right there. Yeah, so school should be fine today.
Okay.
That's important to a lot of people. Temperature right now is 75 in Oklahoma City, which is actually up. That's despite the cloud cover. Even when we opened the show, we showed you the clouds outside in the sky cam. 75 right now, 79 in Lawton. And I'm going to just kind of highlight here. This is the frontal boundary is right there at the edge of the kind of orange-red color. And it's kind of a little zigzag, okay? So right here is where we're going to be worried. And right here is where we're going to be worried. And the front will it's moving northward very slowly. And you can also see here on the dew point map, this is where the moisture is highest, right here. Okay, so central, northeastern, southeastern, south central Oklahoma, and it's pretty dry right here, but the moist air is working its way northward slowly. So you can kind of see right here on the edge of the future wind map here, this is 330, not far from now, that's the area that will have enhanced spin. Dry line out here, stationary front here, and notice how it slowly goes north. It might wobble too. That's going to be something to watch. We're going to be watching that boundary very carefully because there'll be storms other places. North of it, the severe threat won't be nearly as high, but along it and south of it, that's where we're going to be pretty concerned for today. So you can see how the dew points keep going up. They eventually get into the 50s northwest Oklahoma, but again, that part of the state isn't at as high of a risk for the hail, for the tornadoes. Could be some gusty winds, but it's really central, north central, and western Oklahoma, specifically west central and southwestern Oklahoma, under the gun a little bit more. So we'll go to Future Track here, take a look at this. Here again, this has storms blooming. There's about 5 o'clock. There's 6. So portions of southwestern Oklahoma, notice how they get more numerous here. So this is going to be, got the wrong thing. This is going to be along the dry line. So if I can get my little drawing tool right here. So this is along the dry line here. That's one area where they'll form. And then this will be along that advancing front. That's the other area. So basically 2 areas that we're watching carefully for that storm development. So this is about 7 or 8 o'clock. So there they are. Still west of the metro, but again, they could go a little bit faster. If they get a lot of cold air behind them, a cold pool that pushes them forward, they go faster. If not, they might go slower. And they'll keep going. Here's 10 o'clock, so it's going to get pretty loud between about 8 to 10 in central Oklahoma, and then they push out as we go deeper into the overnight. And notice this too. I'm going to back it up again. So notice how initially they're kind of discrete. They're alone. That would be your higher risk for very large hail and a couple tornadoes. Once they form into a solid line, we transition to more of a wind risk with embedded tornadoes that could be a little weaker, but obviously still very dangerous. So we want folks to be very aware of that. I'm going to kind of head over to the forecast graphics here for today. So the severe risk for today, you'll notice there's a pretty sharp gradient in northwestern Oklahoma. That's because all that energy isn't going to make it too far off to the north. Here's the hail forecast, pretty big hail. Baseball-sized hail over a pretty wide swath of Oklahoma, so we're worried about that. Some of the winds could gust 80 miles an hour or more, especially as it forms into a line and moves east. And we'll kind of leave you with the tornado risk right here. Right now it is low, but it is over a broad part of the state, really about 2/3 of the state in some form of significant tornado risk. So again, we want folks to be aware, be prepared, not scared, have that plan, get it ready now if you don't have it, and we will be here all afternoon and evening long to keep you forewarned. You ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. All right,
Ready for spring.
Everyone else get ready. Spring starts today. Thank you for joining us on What's Up With This Weather. We will see you again next Wednesday at 1:30 right here on What's Up With This Weather.